Good morning. Happy Monday. I'm Joey Gunnar. Welcome to From the Nosebleeds. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'm here with AP today, and we're going to be talking about what a fun game we got to witness yesterday. How incredible was that Broncos win? How you feeling this morning, AP?
Hey, man, it's the never say die Denver Broncos team as they somehow, some way figure out a way to win that game in overtime last night. What a thrilling victory. The defense up and down throughout the course of the game, but it was Nik Bonitto who came through when the defense needed him most. Bo Nix, bad interception, but played a pretty good game overall. And the Denver Broncos have now won 9 consecutive games. You absolutely love to see it. Happy to be here with you today, Joey.
Yeah, no, they cannot be stopped right now. They can't. It's incredible to see what this Broncos team is able to do when faced with adversity. It seems like every team that they're playing up against plays up to the Broncos level rather than the Broncos playing down to their level. I know it's one thing that people talk about in the NFL a lot, is these good teams playing down to other teams' levels. And the Broncos don't play down. Other teams are playing up to the Broncos level, and it was evident last night as you saw a great performance from Marcus Mariota. I mean, this guy was nowhere to be found for the past 3 years. He hasn't been a real NFL star for a long time, and he goes out and he shines on Sunday Night Football up against the best team now in NFL football. I mean, he is the best. The Broncos are the best team in the league right now. And that's
I don't know about that.
Just going off of the record, though.
Off record, sure.
Off record, they are. And despite what you may think, record matters. And right now, the record states that the Broncos are the best team in football. Now, that being said, there's one word that I've used throughout this entire season, and I'm going to use it again today: inconsistency. They were inconsistent, and they didn't look good through all 4 quarters yesterday. They looked great right out of the jump in the first half. They were like, okay, this is going to be a game where the Broncos can actually go out and get a real true win up against an injured Washington Commanders team. And it didn't end up that way. I mean, obviously I had to win it on the last play of the game, a 2-point conversion in overtime, but inconsistency was very much evident yesterday.
Yeah, no, 100%. And a couple of stats that I want to throw out there for Broncos country. Look, a win is a win. You've got to be thrilled with the performance at the end of the day. Nik Bonitto, Bo Nix clutch late in overtime. Evan Ingram, welcome to the show. Evan Ingram, nice touchdown catch from Cortland Sutton in this game as well. And RJ Harvey ×2. So again, you love the victory. It's a victory Monday here on the program. But to your point, inconsistency. I mean, you look at the discrepancy in some of these stats in the game against Washington. The Commanders had 30 first downs compared to Denver's 23. Washington ran 85 total plays of offense compared to Denver's 69. And, you know, Denver barely outpassed Marcus Mariota 315 to 276. And the thing that's most concerning to me, and I'm going to keep it a buck with you guys on this show, because yes, it was a win. Yes, this is an awesome 9-game win streak. Yes, the Broncos are great in clutch scenarios this season. They allowed the Washington Commanders to go 4 for 4, like a Wendy's 4 for 4 last night on their 4th down conversions. And so, look, defense looked a bit rusty. I think, you know, I was talking about it on Denver Sports Tonight last week as well. I think Vance Joseph has a lot of pressure on himself to keep the defense playing at the level in which it has been throughout the course of this season, because right around this time last year is when we saw that Denver Broncos defense take a little bit of a step back. And you mentioned the inconsistencies with the offense. Look, it kind of is what it is at this point. Bo Nix can do it in spurts. Sean Payton's got the play calling. Hot and cold is how I would describe this Broncos offense. If Denver wants to be that best team in the NFL, if they want to get the 1 seed in the AFC, if they want to contend for an NFL championship, you got to have the defense play up to par, unlike they did last night, like they have earlier in the season.
Which is strange, because yesterday they had 2 of their big name defensive playmakers come back in Patrick Surtain and Alex Singleton. Alex Singleton, of course, making a huge play in overtime yesterday, stopping the ball, forcing a 4th down in that overtime drive for the Commanders. And then Pat Surtain, he played lockdown defense. I don't remember a time where he was targeted that it ended up being like a big completion for anything notable, for a touchdown or anything of that sort. But overall, the defense wasn't getting home as usual as they do. And maybe we're being too greedy. You know, this is a team where we were talking about earlier that they're going to break the sack record that the Chicago Bears have held for 50 years now. And it doesn't seem like that's the case anymore. So maybe we're getting a little bit too much. We're getting too big for our britches here. We're sitting here wondering why they're not getting 6 sacks a night. And that's just not feasible. That's just not feasible. But it is something that you can come to expect. The defense definitely wasn't up to par. I like how you brought that up. But under pressure, that's one thing that I want to bring up. Under pressure, the Broncos found success. At the end of the half, they're given the ball. They had 1 minute and 58 seconds on their drive, ended up scoring a touchdown on one of the most incredible passes I've seen in my lifetime. And that is not an overstatement. Dare I say Patrick Mahomes-esque? Dare I say it?
I don't think that's a terrible take. And I mean, watching it in real time, I kind of thought the knee was down, right, on that touchdown pass to Courtland Sutton. And I mean, that just speaks to the overall athleticism of a guy like Bo Nix, who, they were talking about, and they kind of jinxed him on the broadcast last night, talking about how he doesn't take sacks. He did get sacked a couple of times throughout the course of that game in some critical moments. But that play last night in a micro is why you love Bo Nix. It's why you're a Bo-liever. It's why you think this Denver Broncos team can go out there and do the darn thing this season and contend for an NFL championship. So what a play. Also, quick shout out. I know it's for the other team, but the Burks catch.
Oh my God.
OBJ-esque.
I mean, goodness.
That was absolutely electric.
Yeah.
And again, we're happy the Broncos won. That was a hell of a football game, dude.
A hell of a football game. I mean, I cannot ask for anything more to cap off my Thanksgiving break. But yeah, so you see that under pressure. And then in overtime, they get the ball first. No mistakes. A 3-minute drive, 76 yards, touchdown for RJ Harvey. Great drive. So in pressure moments, they found success. That's what leads me to believe that this is a Super Bowl contending team. In the playoffs, every time that football is in the quarterback's hand, it's a pressure moment. There are no mistakes that can be made. In the playoffs, in the first round, wild card, divisional matchup, championship, Super Bowl, that is all a pressure moment every time you're on that field for the entire 60 minutes. So I found that to be very comforting, just those two drives right there. But then you see, again, Bo Nix gets the ball in the third quarter, throws one of the worst interceptions I've seen. Just literally nobody around wherever he threw that ball. It was a really bad interception. But overall, I really liked what I saw from the Broncos, especially from Evan Ingram, who came back from nowhere, came back from the dead. Incredible game from him.
Come on. Now there's that Joker Evan Ingram, man. 6 receptions for 79 yards, including that 41-yard burst there on that jerk route late in the game, which really helped set up the victory for this Denver Broncos team. And that's the version of Evan Ingram that Broncos country was sold in the offseason when they ended up signing him from the Jacksonville Jaguars. And so hopefully there's more to come from Evan. I think, Courtland Sutton did his thing yesterday. Troy Franklin had a couple of catches early. Pat Bryant, I think, is another guy that's starting to emerge with this Denver Broncos wide receiving core. So, look, it is a good win. At the end of the day, like Sean Payton talked about it, you're going to celebrate. You're going to enjoy it. You won the game, albeit a close one. A little bit closer than I think it personally should have been. But you're 10-2. You improved to 4-2 on the road. And to your point, New England plays tonight on Monday Night Football. If they lose this game, the Broncos are going to be in the driver's seat for the 1 seed in the AFC. So right now, you got to love what the Broncos are doing.
Yeah, no, definitely. And there's a comment in here from Ronald Lewis. The Broncos played that terrible and still won. It says a lot. That right there kind of sums up how I've felt about a lot of the wins that the Broncos have had this season. You talk about the Jets game, the Raiders game. Those games were not pretty wins. They looked ugly. The Broncos were not playing at their peak. And honestly, it scares me. They are barely beating these teams that they should be dominating. Yesterday was another example of that. But going back to what I said earlier, this is not a case of the Broncos playing down to their opponents. This seems like a case of the opponents playing up to the Broncos, playing with that energy. They know what the Broncos have to offer, and every single week, opposing teams are game planning around Bo Nix, around this defensive front. Nick Bonito, all of these guys have been incredible for the Broncos, and other teams are expecting that. So it's no longer a case of the Broncos are playing down to their opponents and they're barely winning games. It is these opponents have more to fight for because everybody wants to be the Kingslayer.
I think that's a good point. And I also think, Joey, it's just kind of a season of parity in the NFL. I mean, who had the Carolina Panthers upsetting the Los Angeles Rams yesterday? Okay, good job for you then. But, you saw the Cincinnati Bengals taking down the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, there's a lot of these games, in which you expect one team to win, it goes the other way, or it's a closer game than you might think. And so look, I'm so curious and I'm so fascinated to see how this season plays out for the Denver Broncos, because I think they have as good a chance as anybody in the AFC to make that run to the Super Bowl this season. And it's going to come down to their defense. It's going to come down to clutch play from Bo Nix. But what I want to see is you use the word inconsistency. We need to see the inverse of that, because I think we know I will look at this game from the defense as a bit of a gut check. I think this is more of an anomaly than who they'll be the rest of the way this season. So expecting the defense to play at the level at which they have for a majority of the year. If the Broncos offense can up the ante, play consistent, put points up on a regular basis, they're going to be a tough out, especially if they get that 1 seed.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the defense, yeah, of course, this isn't what we've seen from them usually. They were the ones where the inconsistency is pointed at them. But in the big moments, they shined. I mean, Dre Greenlaw had an interception in the red zone at the beginning of the second quarter, a huge one. Dre Greenlaw finally showing up. Was this a game of Dre Greenlaw and Evan Ingram finally looking like how they're supposed to look? And then Nick Bonito, of course, we even have to mention the game-winning pass breakup, which would have been a touchdown. If you watch that, the running back, I forget the Commanders running back name who ran that route, but wide open, walk-in touchdown. And Nick Bonito elevated and got that pass breakup to win the game. And those are the clutch moments. And also, just on the defense, Riley Moss, no pass interferences.
Yeah, and they were, hunting Riley Moss throughout the course of the game. And he did a pretty good job overall. It was interesting. We actually saw at one point the Broncos kind of try a rotation at cornerback. You saw Shadae Barron in there. You saw Jaquan McMillan. I think it's time to give Jaquan McMillan some flowers here. He's a guy that's kind of been up and down with respect to Broncos country. And he's really balled out in the opportunities that he's had this season. And I think that's warranted more playing time, which you've seen from Jaquan McMillan. And the other guy that I think we have to give a game ball to or a shout out, another polarizing figure in the world of Broncos country. How about Alex Singleton, man?
Alex Singleton, I mean, coming back.
The adversity that he's had to deal with, in the last 3 weeks or so with the cancer diagnosis and the surgery and coming back. I mean, for him to punch that ball out on that seam route to Zach Ertz, a critical play in this game as well.
That's what it was. I said a sack. It was he punched the ball out.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great play, timely play. And again, he's a guy that, Broncos country is, half in, half out with him sometimes. I'm an Alex Singleton guy. He's always near the top of the list for total tackles every single game. He's a field general out there for the Denver Broncos. I understand you have Dre Greenlaw and all these other players, but it was really nice to see Alex Singleton in primetime last night make a tremendous play.
Yeah, and now just looking forward for the Broncos. They're 10-2. They have 5 games left on the schedule. There is a very real opportunity that they end up winning out. I mean, they've got the Raiders next week. They've got the Raiders.
Should win that.
Another primetime game. Or no, it's not a primetime game. It will. I believe it may have been flexed. I might just be completely wrong, but they've got the Raiders.
2:05 is the Mountain Time for the Raider game.
2:05. They got the Raiders. Then they go play the Packers, and that one's at home. So I'm seeing a win there. I mean, I know that the Packers are a good team and people like them this season, but I'm seeing a win for the Broncos. Then you got the Jags, who really are the Jaguars. I'm not too scared of Trevor Lawrence. Then you got the Chiefs and the Chargers to finish it out. They've already beaten the Chiefs, and they lost to the Chargers on a field goal. There's a real opportunity that the Broncos end up winning out this season. I don't think it's too early to start talking about that, and I don't think it's too bold to start talking about that.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. When you're on a 9-game win streak, you think anything's possible right now. And that is the fact of the matter. I mean, if the Denver Broncos were to win out the rest of the regular season, I'm not as confident in that as you are. I love your confidence in that front. But I think Jacksonville's a tough team. I think Green Bay's a tough team. And I'll get into that here in just a moment as well. But if the Broncos were able to win out, man, I mean, you've got to feel great about their chances long-term, because they would, in theory, likely solidify that number 1 seed, which I think is just absolutely imperative to the Broncos going on a championship run. I mean, I've been at just about every single Denver Broncos home game this season. And for those of you that haven't been in the press box, like you sit there, right? It's like across like the second, like the club level, and there's like glass that separates you from the outside. So, it's not open air in the press box like it is with the Rockies, for example. And I'm sitting there watching these games, covering these games for us here at Denver Sports. And, you got your water bottle on the desk, and, big third down, you can literally feel the rumble from the stadium. My water bottle starts shaking on the desk. I mean, I feel like home field advantage has been downplayed a bit in the NFL over the last handful of years. The Broncos still have one of, if not the best home field advantage in the NFL. So I think if the Broncos can get the 1 seed, you're going to feel really good about their chances beating just about any given team, any given Sunday, any given playoff game, if they're able to accomplish that.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And 3 of their next 5 games, their last 5 games, are at home. And I love that you brought up the home field advantage, because that's obviously something you hear about in college, not as much in the NFL. I mean, I don't know if there's much of a home field advantage
not what
at
it used to
Washington.
be.
It's not. No, it's not what it used to be. The Broncos, though, they still have that same energy. I can't downplay my excitement for where we're at right now.
Can I give you one critical take?
Yeah,
if I may,
please,
because I think, look, again, Victory Monday. Let's go Broncos. Love to see it. Right, 9 straight wins, winning these clutch games, these one-score games as well. But my concern with this Denver Broncos team, a theme that I've seen throughout the course of the season, which gets me a little worried for the playoffs. 4 games: Tennessee week 1, Jets in London, Houston a few weeks ago, and now the Washington Commanders. The Broncos need to bury these teams. And there was multiple drives last night, 3 drives in a row where the Broncos have Bo Nix first down here, field goal there, touchdown here. Even Will Lutz with the 2 field goals to open up the game and not getting the 7 points on those opening drives. They're backing into these wins. And, with the league littered with parity right now for the Denver Broncos, I want to see them go out there and flex like they did against the Cincinnati Bengals, like they did against the Dallas Cowboys. And that's my only pessimistic thought from the game last night, because, again, a win is a win. I just don't I can't complain about how you win the game. But again, that's a theme now. 4 games this year. Tennessee's the worst team in the NFL. The Jets are going to be one of, if not the worst team in the NFL next to Tennessee. Houston's, on the comeback, but that was against Davis Mills and not CJ Stroud. And then Marcus Mariota last night, who did ball out. But again, these are all games the Broncos should have won thoroughly, and they backed into those wins. So I want to see, again, going back to the point with the consistency for the offense, let's see them up the ante. And Bo Nix said as much in his postgame press conference last night. If they can start winning by margin, the confidence, the momentum, it's all going up.
Yeah, no, exactly 100%. And again, there have been multiple times where I've come on this show after a win, and I've sat here and said, how many more times can I say a win is a win? How many more times can I say it? Because it's like, it doesn't need to feel like that.
Yeah.
It should feel better.
It's like the Breaking Bad, Jesse Pinkman. They can't keep getting away with this, right? And I understand it's kind of the opposite because they're winning here, but I'm sure, Chiefs fans and Charger fans, Raider fans, no one really cares about right now because they're down and out. But teams around the NFL are like, when is the bottom going to fall out with this Denver Broncos team? And I actually think it's a fair take. And again, I'm not just trying to be pessimistic and critical after a win, but they should have probably won. I mean, they were 6 and, they were steady favorites, essentially touchdown favorites in that game last night.
Mm-hmm.
And it took an overtime thriller with Washington, who had nothing to play for, going for a 2-point conversion for them to beat Marcus Mariota. And again, a tip of the cap to Dan Quinn, a tip of the cap to that Commanders team for playing hard for him. I want to see the Broncos win by margin. If we want to talk about best team in the NFL, let's go win a Super Bowl. These are things that need to happen, in my opinion.
Yeah. Caveat, my rebuttal. Is that not the same exact thing that people said when the Chiefs were on the come up? When Patrick Mahomes was starting to come up, when they were going to the playoffs and going to the Super Bowl and that kind of stuff, when they were winning games by 1 score and they were finding ways in the playoffs, and they did it last season too. They backed into a lot of wins and they ended up going to the Super Bowl. It's very similar.
It is very similar. I'll give a little bit of a pushback to you because it was the Chiefs last year, a battle-tested team that has been there and done that and won Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And let's keep it a buck. Bo Nix is not Patrick Mahomes. Look, I think Bo Nix is a good quarterback. I think he's made some strides this season. He's not Patrick Mahomes. So that's where, again, you have to lean on this defense. And I think they looked a little rusty last night. Bad penalty there from Talanoa Hufanga towards the end of the game that could have solidified the victory for the Broncos. So there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot to be excited about with this Denver Broncos team. And I'm still trying to get a grip on what this team can be. And I do believe they can go out there and contend for a championship. And maybe everything I just said with winning by margin and this, that, the other, maybe that doesn't play this year just because of how much parity there is littered across the league. Maybe this is just good enough for this season.
Yeah.
Can I ask you another question real quick?
Please.
So I know it's your show. I was talking about this with some buddies last night. If this Broncos team played the 2013 Broncos, what's the score? Because that, to me, that Peyton Manning era, that was dominant. Absolutely dominant. This Broncos team is 10-2. They don't feel quite dominant to me like that Peyton Manning era team did.
I think that the 2013 team wins it.
I think handedly.
By a good amount. Just because you look at the defensive superstars that team had and the offensive superstars, how many superstars do you think that this team has right now? I think it's 1. I think that it could be 2, depending on if Nick Bonito gets a DPOI this season. But I think right now they have Pat Surtain, who's a superstar. And other than that, is there Is there anybody else?
I think Benito, Cooper, they all can play like stars in spurts because of the talent they have on that defensive line. I think Talanoa Hufanga, I know he had a bit of a rough game last night, was dealing with an illness as well.
Though.
He has been dynamite. Absolutely nails for this Denver Broncos defense. I think you're seeing Drake Greenlaw get more comfortable. And before the injury, J.K. Dobbins was one of the more dynamic running backs in the league this season.
He was top 3 in rushing yards.
He could be superstars. Yeah, no, exactly. I'm with you, dude, but it's a weird year in the NFL. I mean, you could make a legitimate case for 7, 8 teams to go out there and win a championship this year. Yeah. Sorry, Dan, I'm not buying what the Eagles are selling right now. But, at the end of the day, it's wide open.
Yeah, it is. It's been a weird year, that's for sure. I mean, we saw a QB throw 5 interceptions yesterday. Max Brosmer. Give it up for Max Brosmer on the Minnesota Vikings.
Come on.
Give it up for
you
Max
were
Brosmer.
Talking so much smack to me last week. Oh, the Minnesota kid, he wants to be a Viking quarterback. He's going to go shock the world.
Yeah, he's going to be Tom Brady. He could have been Tom Brady. We could have seen Tom Brady.
Keep living on your prayer, brother.
Yeah, no, that prayer's gone. That prayer is gone. But we should move on because there's a lot of good to talk about with the Broncos and a lot of not so good to talk about with the Nuggets. They've been, of course, a flamethrower this season, just completely dominating teams left and right. They did it this weekend, but before the weekend, on Friday, they lost their 3rd straight home game and were eliminated from cup contention. Really bad game up against the San Antonio Spurs. Beat 139-136. Played the free throw game at the end there, but you could tell that the game was already over. Jamal Murray looked amazing, but they had 2 stars on that Spurs team that just completely took over. Julian Champagny, I believe is how you pronounce it, 25 points. And Devin Vassell, 35 points. They had 2 of their players who are not named Victor Wembanyama combine for 60 points. A really bad loss for the Denver Nuggets to eliminate them from the NBA Cup.
Yeah, and Wemby didn't even play in the game, right? He's out with injury, and it's concerning. You alluded to it. The 3 straight home losses for Denver, that's pretty uncharacteristic of them. For the most part in this Jokic era, once he kind of has reached his full form, although I don't think he has really even reached his full form right now. A bit passive from Nikola Jokic in that game as well. And look, they bounce back the next night and take down the Phoenix Suns 130-112, who are a pretty scrappy team in their own right. I thought it was interesting. I'm not saying Jokic was tanking the game against San Antonio, but that was the first game after the LeBron comments that came out where he's talking about this guy is the most complete player. And we know that Jokic likes to deflect the stardom. So put your tinfoil hat on. I'm not saying he threw the game or anything like that, but it was interesting, maybe a coincidence there. But, I've talked about this with Jake on the Mile High Hoops podcast, and make sure to check us out, Denver Sports YouTube channel, subscribe, all that good stuff as well. There was going to be at least a couple of moments throughout the course of the season where this Nuggets team was going to face adversity, right? They're 14-5. They're in good shape. This is where I think we learned if hiring David Adelman was the right move. How does he handle, this little skid at home? Like I said, they bounce back against Phoenix. You like to see that. I think the Nuggets are going to be fine, but it is interesting they dropped 3 in a row at home.
Yeah, interesting to say the least. Jokic too. It's funny how you said kind of throwing the game. Do you know what Jokic's stats were in that game?
Unconscious.
21 points, 9 rebounds, 10 assists. But he did have 4 turnovers, and he was -6 in the box plus minus. I think that's the most shocking thing you could see from Nikola Jokic ever. Minus anything in the box plus minus is crazy. -6 though. 2 scores, 2 3 balls. He's down by that much in the box plus minus. Only other person -6 was Bruce Brown, and then of course Zeke Naji -13. Ugh. How many more times can I watch this guy play basketball? I don't want it to be very many more times. I'm not a fan.
You also can't give up in that San Antonio game. You can't give up 40-plus points in 2 separate quarters. San Antonio comes out and hangs 41 on them in the first, 44 in the third, and they outscore Denver 36-32 in the fourth quarter as well. And again, it's one thing if Victor Wembanyama's out there. He was not. And look, the Spurs are a competitive team, 13-5 in the Western Conference at this moment, but you can't give up 139 points at home, Wemby or not.
No, you can't. You can't defensively, but offensively, the Nuggets didn't score less than 30 in a quarter once that game. 31, 33, 41, 30, 32. Offensively, their output's staying the same. They put up 136 points. They put up 136 points in that game. They just lost because they let the San Antonio Spurs put up 139. So there's definitely some issues that the Nuggets have to work out right now. But if I want to say anything about this game, losses happen. It's the NBA Cup. Most people don't care about it. I personally do. I think that it's kind of fun to watch a mid-season scrimmage like this. It's a lot of fun for me to watch. But one good thing to come out of this is that Jamal Murray has continued to be consistent, which is one thing that we have not seen from him in past years, and to be hot right out of the break. The season's just beginning, and we're seeing him put up 37 points up against this Spurs team who has a pretty solid defense. And it's not a rarity thing. Like, it's not rare. He's been doing this all season so far. He has an all-star campaign with his name on it. He's going to be an all-star this year, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, he's trending that way, man, and that's huge for the Nuggets long-term this season. He looks dialed in, right? We want to see this team get back to being healthy. No Aaron Gordon, no Christian Brown at the moment. I still don't think that's an excuse because you have the best player in the world, and as Joey just alluded to, Jamal Murray's playing out of his mind. So, look, bump in the road, Denver's going to be fine.
Yeah, Denver's going to be fine. But definitely some things to work on there. The Broncos getting ready for their next matchup up against the Raiders. Are we expecting a big win or another close win? I'm guessing probably the latter, seeing how the Broncos have been playing so far this season.
I'll believe it when I see it, Joey.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a big win, but probably a close win again. But thank you guys all for joining. AP, thank you for joining. We'll see you next Monday. We'll see you guys all tomorrow. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a great rest of your day. Bye, y'all.